Hello everyone, Dr. Allan Mandell here. Your legs weaken first. Not your heart, not your lungs, your legs. And this isn't an opinion, it's biology. As we age, the muscles of the lower body lose strength faster than any other part of the body. Studies show that after the age of 40, we lose up to 1% of leg muscle every year. And after 60, that loss accelerates. Weak legs lead to poor balance, slow walking, joint pain, falls, loss of independence, and even reduced lifespan. But here's the good news. Your legs are incredibly responsive to nutrition. Feed them the right foods, and they can regain strength, endurance, and stability, even later in life. Today, I'm going to share 6 powerful foods that specifically strengthen the muscles, nerves, bones, and blood flow of your legs, and exactly how to use them in daily life. Let's begin. Your legs weaken quietly long before you feel old, long before pain forces you to stop, long before balance disappears, and science has proven this decline begins not in the joints, not in the bones, but deep inside the muscle fibers themselves, where protein synthesis slows, repair signals fade, and the legs begin to starve at a cellular level. And one of the most powerful tools to reverse this process is something almost everyone has access to, but dangerously underestimates: the egg, a food so biologically complete that researchers often use it as the reference standard for measuring protein quality. Because when leg muscles weaken with age, they are not asking for more food. They are asking for the right amino acids delivered at the right time, and eggs deliver this with surgical precision. Each egg containing all 9 essential amino acids in exact ratios the human body requires to rebuild muscle tissue, especially leucine, the single most critical amino acid for triggering muscle protein synthesis. And here is the shocking part most people never hear. Studies show that after the age of 40, the body becomes resistant to protein, meaning the same food that once maintained muscle no longer works. And unless leucine intake increases, leg muscles slowly waste away even if calories remain the same. And eggs are one of the richest natural sources of leucine available, which is why clinical trials consistently show that older adults who consume eggs experience greater leg strength, faster walking speed, and improved balance compared to those who rely on plant protein alone. And this matters because weak legs are not just a mobility issue, they are a survival issue, with research from large population studies showing that leg strength is a stronger predictor of longevity than blood pressure or cholesterol, and eggs contribute to this by doing more than building muscle. They protect the nerves that control your legs, because inside the egg, yolk is choline, a nutrient essential for producing acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter responsible for muscle contraction, and without adequate choline, the signal from your brain to your legs weakens, causing slower reaction time, unstable steps, and the feeling that your legs no longer respond the way they used to. And this nerve decline often appears years before visible muscle loss, making eggs a neurological food as much as a muscular one. And then there is vitamin D, another silent factor in leg weakness, because vitamin D receptors exist directly inside muscle cells, and low vitamin D levels are associated with reduced muscle strength, increased fall risk, and poor postural control, especially in the lower body. And eggs are one of the few natural foods that contain vitamin D in a form the body can use efficiently, which explains why older adults who regularly eat eggs show improved lower body performance in balance and chair rise tests compared to those who avoid them. Why? And yet, despite this overwhelming evidence, eggs have been unfairly feared for decades due to outdated cholesterol myths, when modern research now confirms that for the majority of people, dietary cholesterol from eggs does not raise harmful cholesterol levels, and in fact, eggs increase HDL, the protective cholesterol that supports blood vessel health, improving circulation to the legs and enhancing oxygen delivery to working muscles. And circulation is everything when it comes to leg endurance, because muscles without oxygen fatigue quickly and weaken over time. And eggs also contain selenium and zinc, trace minerals that protect muscle tissue from oxidative damage and support testosterone production, a hormone essential, not just for men, but for women as well, as testosterone plays a key role in maintaining muscle mass and strength in the legs. And what makes eggs even more powerful is their bioavailability, meaning the body absorbs and uses their nutrients more efficiently. than almost any other food, which is critical for aging digestive systems that no longer extract nutrients as easily as they once did. And here is another overlooked fact. Eating eggs in the morning has been shown to stimulate muscle protein synthesis for up to 24 hours, meaning a single meal can support leg repair throughout the entire day. And when eggs are consumed regularly, they help preserve fast-twitch muscle fibers in the legs, the fibers responsible for preventing falls, correcting missteps, and generating power when standing up or climbing stairs, fibers that are typically lost first with aging, and without them, falls become more likely and recovery becomes slower. And this is why rehabilitation programs for seniors increasingly emphasize high-quality protein sources like eggs. Because rebuilding leg strength is not about quantity, it is about signal strength, and eggs send the strongest anabolic signal the muscle can receive, and when paired with light, walking or resistance, even simple chair stands, the effect multiplies, turning food into function, nutrition into movement, and movement into independence. And the tragedy is not that legs weaken with age, it is that most people never realize how preventable that weakness is, because something as simple as 1 to 2 eggs a day, prepared gently, not burned, not drowned in oil, can slow, stop, and in many cases reverse leg muscle decline, restoring confidence with every step, stability with every stride, and dignity with every movement. Because strong legs are not about appearance, they are about freedom. They are about getting up without fear, walking without hesitation, and living without limits. And the science is clear. The egg is not just food, it is biological information, telling your legs to rebuild, to reconnect, and to stay strong, no matter your age. Leg weakness does not always begin with muscle loss. And this is where millions of people are misled, because before muscle disappears, before balance is lost, before walking becomes difficult, the real collapse often starts invisibly in the blood itself, when oxygen delivery to the legs quietly declines. And science confirms that when muscles are deprived of oxygen even slightly, they weaken faster, fatigue sooner, and recover more slowly. And this is why so many people feel their legs grow heavy, shaky, or tired long before they see any visible change. And at the center of this silent failure is iron deficiency, one of the most common yet underdiagnosed nutritional problems in adults over 40, and lentils stand as one of the most powerful and overlooked weapons against this decline, because lentils do not just feed the muscle, they feed the blood that feeds the muscle, delivering iron in a form that directly supports hemoglobin production, the molecule responsible for transporting oxygen from the lungs to the working muscles of the legs. And when hemoglobin levels fall, even slightly, leg muscles are forced to operate in a low oxygen state, which research shows accelerates muscle fatigue, increases lactic acid buildup, and promotes muscle breakdown over time. And what makes this dangerous is that iron deficiency does not always cause anemia, meaning you can feel leg weakness, shortness of breath when walking, and poor endurance while blood tests still appear normal. And studies show that functional iron deficiency is especially common in older adults, vegetarians, and people with chronic inflammation, and lentils address this at the root, providing iron alongside vitamin B6 and folate, nutrients essential for red blood cell formation, creating a biological chain reaction that restores oxygen flow to the legs. And when oxygen delivery improves, muscle fibers regain endurance, coordination improves, and walking becomes easier. But lentils go even further, because oxygen alone does not create strength. Energy metabolism does, and lentils are rich in complex carbohydrates that fuel slow-twitch muscle fibers, the fibers responsible for long-distance walking, standing, and posture. And without adequate fuel, these fibers weaken first, forcing the body to rely on fast-twitch fibers that fatigue quickly and increase fall risk. And this is why diets low in complex carbohydrates are strongly associated with early leg fatigue and weakness in older populations, and lentils provide this fuel steadily without blood sugar spikes, because their high fiber content slows digestion and stabilizes glucose, protecting insulin sensitivity. And insulin sensitivity is critical for leg strength, because insulin is one of the hormones that drives amino acids into muscle cells, and insulin resistance, which increases with age, blocks this process, effectively starving leg muscles even when protein intake is adequate. And lentils have been shown in multiple metabolic studies to improve insulin sensitivity, especially when consumed regularly, which enhances muscle nutrient uptake and supports muscle maintenance in the legs. And then there is magnesium, another silent factor in leg weakness, because magnesium regulates muscle contraction and relaxation, nerve signaling, and ATP production, the energy currency of muscle cells, and magnesium deficiency is strongly associated with muscle cramps, tremors, weakness, and poor coordination, symptoms that disproportionately affect the legs, and lentils provide magnesium in a bioavailable form that supports neuromuscular function, helping muscles contract smoothly and relax fully, reducing stiffness and instability, and potassium in lentils further supports this process, maintaining electrical gradients that allow muscles to fire properly, and when potassium levels are low, muscles misfire, fatigue faster, and lose strength, creating the sensation that the legs are unreliable or unstable. And what makes lentils uniquely powerful is their anti-inflammatory effect, because chronic low-grade inflammation accelerates muscle loss by activating catabolic pathways that break down muscle tissue, especially in the lower body, and lentils contain polyphenols and plant compounds that reduce inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, which has been directly linked to reduced muscle strength and slower walking speed in aging adults. And by lowering inflammation, lentils create an internal environment where muscle repair can finally outpace muscle breakdown. And this is not theoretical, because population studies consistently show that individuals who consume legumes regularly maintain better leg strength, higher mobility scores, and lower disability rates later in life, even when total protein intake is modest. And another overlooked benefit of lentils lies in their effect on the gut, because gut health influences muscle strength through nutrient absorption and inflammation control, and lentils feed beneficial gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds shown to improve muscle metabolism and reduce age-related muscle loss. And this gut-muscle connection explains why people who eat lentils regularly often experience gradual improvements in strength and stamina rather than sudden changes, because the body is being repaired system by system. And perhaps the most shocking fact of all is that leg weakness dramatically increases mortality risk, with studies showing that slow walking speed and poor leg endurance predict hospitalization, falls, and even cardiovascular events. And lentils address this risk by strengthening not just muscle, but cardiovascular efficiency, improving blood flow, reducing cholesterol absorption, and supporting vascular health, ensuring that oxygen-rich blood reaches the legs consistently. And unlike many foods, lentils do this gently, without stressing digestion or kidneys, making them ideal for daily consumption. And when lentils are eaten consistently, even in small portions, they act as a stabilizing force, restoring endurance, improving balance, and extending the time a person can walk, stand, and move without fatigue. And this is why lentils have been a survival food across cultures for thousands of years, sustaining physical labor, endurance, and resilience long before modern medicine existed. And today science is finally confirming what history already knew, that lentils are not just food, they are functional medicine for the legs, rebuilding strength from the inside out, oxygen by oxygen, fiber by fiber, step by step. Because strong legs are not built only with protein, they are built with blood, fuel, and balance. And lentils provide all three, quietly, consistently, and powerfully, restoring the foundation that movement depends on. Most people believe their legs weaken because muscles shrink, but science reveals a far more frightening truth. Legs often weaken because blood stops reaching them properly, silently, gradually, year after year, until muscles that are still technically alive begin to behave as if they are dying. And this is why so many people say their legs feel heavy, cold, numb, stiff, or unreliable, even though scans show no obvious damage, because circulation failure starves the legs long before muscle loss becomes visible. And at the center of restoring this lost blood flow is a simple green leaf that has been underestimated for decades: spinach. A food so biologically active that researchers classify it not just as nutrition, but as vascular medicine, because spinach is one of the richest natural sources of dietary nitrates, compounds that the body converts into nitric oxide, a molecule so critical to human survival that Nobel Prizes have been awarded for its discovery. And nitric oxide acts as a master switch for blood vessels, signaling them to relax, widen, and deliver oxygen-rich blood deep into tissues, including the hardest-to-reach muscles of the legs. And studies consistently show that reduced nitric oxide production is directly associated with poor leg endurance, slower walking speed, reduced balance, and increased fall risk, especially in adults over 50. And here is the shocking part. Nitric oxide production naturally declines with age, meaning even active people can suffer circulation-related leg weakness without realizing it. And spinach directly counteracts this decline by restoring nitric oxide availability, improving blood flow, not just to large arteries, but to tiny capillaries that feed muscle fibers one by one. And when these capillaries reopen, muscles that felt weak suddenly regain warmth, responsiveness, and endurance. Not because they grew overnight, but because they were finally being fed again. And this effect has been demonstrated in controlled studies where nitrate-rich vegetables like spinach significantly improved walking efficiency, reduced oxygen costs during movement, and increased muscle performance without any increase in exercise intensity. And this matters because most leg weakness in aging adults is not due to lack of effort, but lack of delivery. Nutrients and oxygen simply are not arriving where they are needed. And spinach solves this at the vascular level. But blood flow is only part of the story, because muscles cannot function properly without minerals that regulate contraction and relaxation. And spinach is exceptionally rich in magnesium, a mineral involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions, many of them directly related to muscle function, nerve transmission, and energy production. And magnesium deficiency is strongly linked to muscle cramps, spasms, weakness, and tremors. Symptoms that disproportionately affect the legs, especially at night or during walking. And research shows that a significant percentage of older adults are chronically magnesium deficient due to poor absorption and increased urinary loss. And spinach provides magnesium in a natural matrix that the body absorbs more effectively than many supplements, allowing muscles to contract smoothly and relax fully, restoring coordination and reducing the sensation of stiffness or instability. And then there is potassium, another critical electrolyte abundant in spinach, responsible for maintaining the electrical gradients that allow nerves to fire and muscles to respond. And when potassium levels drop even slightly, nerve signals slow, muscle response weakens, and legs begin to feel unreliable, particularly during transitions like standing up, climbing stairs, or changing direction. And spinach replenishes potassium while also supplying folate, a B vitamin essential for red blood cell production, further enhancing oxygen delivery to leg muscles, creating a synergistic effect where blood flow, oxygen transport, and muscle responsiveness all improve together. And spinach also plays a critical role in protecting bones, which are often overlooked in discussions of leg strength because weak bones force muscles to compensate, increasing fatigue and injury risk. And spinach provides vitamin K, a nutrient essential for bone mineralization and calcium regulation. And studies show that low vitamin K levels are associated with reduced bone density and increased fracture risk in the lower limbs. And stronger bones allow leg muscles to function more efficiently, reducing strain and improving stability. And perhaps most importantly, spinach combats chronic inflammation, the invisible enemy that slowly destroys muscle tissue over time, because inflammatory markers like interleukin-6 and C-reactive protein are directly associated with reduced muscle strength, slower gait, and higher disability rates. And spinach contains powerful antioxidants like lutein and quercetin that neutralize oxidative stress and downregulate inflammatory pathways, creating an internal environment where muscle repair can finally occur. And this anti-inflammatory effect is especially important for people with knee pain, hip stiffness, or joint degeneration, because inflammation disrupts neuromuscular signaling, making muscles weaker even when they are structurally intact. And when inflammation is reduced, muscles regain their ability to fire fully and consistently, restoring confidence with movement. And the evidence supporting spinach is not theoretical, because population studies repeatedly show that individuals who consume green leafy vegetables daily have significantly better lower body strength, faster walking speed, and reduced risk of mobility limitation later in life, even when controlling for age, weight, and activity level. And what makes spinach unique is how quickly it acts, because nitric oxide levels can rise within hours of consumption, meaning circulation benefits begin almost immediately, while long-term intake builds structural resilience in muscles, nerves, and bones. And when spinach is consumed regularly, it becomes a daily signal to the body that movement is still required, that blood flow must be maintained, and that the legs are still meant to carry you forward. And this is why cultures with high leafy green intake consistently show lower rates of age-related disability, not because they exercise more, but because their muscles are never allowed to starve. And the tragedy is that many people abandon foods like spinach because they do not feel dramatic or stimulating, not realizing that its power lies in restoration, not stimulation, because spinach does not force the body, it repairs it, vessel by vessel, nerve by nerve, fiber by fiber, and over time, this repair accumulates into strength, endurance, and stability, allowing people to walk farther, stand longer, and move with confidence again. And this is the ultimate truth. Science now confirms leg strength is not just built in the gym, it is preserved in the bloodstream, protected in the nerves, and sustained by foods that keep circulation alive. And spinach does exactly that, quietly, consistently, and relentlessly, keeping the legs nourished, responsive, and strong long after most people expect decline to be inevitable.